What's happening, everyone? Welcome to What's Your Art. Now, What's Your Art is a platform that I've built to help artists share their story and their journey. Now, the main mission is to simply inspire the next wave of upcoming creative artists. But I'm super excited to bring you guys a series of stories which features some of the most dopest creative artists that I've come across in my career. Season 1, Episode 1, guys, we are here ready to launch. So today's guest goes by the name of Martchelo. He's an R&B singer, songwriter, producer, and overall an incredible artist. You might have seen his music on iTunes, Spotify, you might have heard him live, you might have even seen his work on the latest Enigma album. Or you might know him for his incredible voice and harmonies. But we got the chance to sit down with him today and really go back into finding out what it was like for him to grow up in Brazil, fall in love with music, and eventually coming to the UK to pursue his passion. We talk about what it's like to be a musician, what it's also like to live a lifestyle of a musician, and he also talks about the importance of discipline for an artist and also the sacrifices that you need to make to pursue the career. So without giving too much away, I want you guys to enjoy the interview. And here goes, Season 1, Episode 1. Enjoy.
Oh, music lasts forever. Can you read here my computer now?
Love it.
Where's my gold?
All right. We have Martchelo in the house. So thank you so much for joining me today. The first guest on the What's Your Art documentary series. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to create a platform for artists to express and then share their vision, share their artistry, and also to get to know why they do what they do. So Martchelo, you're an artist, singer, songwriter, producer, an amazing, talented person, and I'm super proud to also call you my friend and my brother. So thank you so much for doing this. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on this thing. Yeah.
No problem.
I need to tell you before anything, Anton is always pushing me inside the technology field to install new apps and do new stuff. Yeah, thank you.
I may do that a little. But you know, it's amazing to have you, man. It's amazing to have you. So
Thank you for having me.
I have actually loads of questions for me as well, but we're gonna get into everything about music. But before that, I get into the background side of things. You know, how did Martchelo come about? What's the background behind? What's the culture behind you?
You want the very beginning?
Let's do it, man.
Okay, well, yes, I originally was born in Brazil. I come from a mixed family with, I always joke and I say to people that I'm a pizza because I have from my mom's side French and British, from my father's side Italian and Portuguese. And I was born in Brazil. So I'm a pizza with 4 nations, and it makes all sense one day to come back to Europe, and that's why now I'm living here. Jokes apart, yes, I come from a family with musicians also. Mom, she was a musician, producer, so I grew up in studios. I remember going to studios since the age of 5, so yeah, a long time ago. And I grew up in studios learning how to record with people with, at the time, top-notch industry team like producers, songwriters, engineers, vocal recordists. So I was always around, and I need to confess that I used to spend the nighttime in studio, and the next day I used to go to school, and I was doing the afternoon shift because I couldn't wake up early. And every time that I remember my mom was going to the studio, say, can I go together? Let's go to the studio. And yes, it was something that I used to love to do. So I remember me carrying roll tapes and cables and going with the technicians inside the studio to see what was happening. For sure, was having me as a mascot in the studio, right? And yeah, that's how I started. I'm 100% in love with music. I always was, and I am, and I will always be. I think that music is in my blood.
That's amazing to hear, because obviously then, so you started when you're really young. You know when you're really passionate about something, like spending hours and hours in the studio, even at a young age, because I guess you can see that passion now with your music that you produce and perform today. It's very clear, and that's what amazes me, because as a dancer, as an artist, I can see that level of passion in other artists, and it's amazing to actually find out the story behind it. So you grew up with music, obviously back then, like tapes and recorders and stuff like that. So transitioning
but
from
it's good, you know. Anyway, I learned with a very basic kind of technology, so
Yeah.
To be where we are nowadays in studios, and everybody has home studios, it's amazing. But I definitely grew up cutting tapes in studio, cut my fingers to cut the original tapes and edit, and I was learning like this. So it's very interesting.
So how did all this transition into what you do today? When did it become a serious thing? You know what? I want to be a singer, I'll create albums, produce music. When did that all started for you?
Well, I think music and being a singer, I remember again when I was a very young age, and I said to my mom, you know, the thing that I like to do is singing. I was spending time buying vinyls, buying tapes, the cassette tapes to record music from the radio. I was always involved with music, and when I was doing a different activity that wasn't music, I was trying to find a way to put music on that activity technically. And my mom, she realized that I could sing. And there was a story that I was watching TV ads, and when they were releasing a kind of the greatest hits of whatever, I was in front of the television and I was singing along that kind of ad. And because, you know, a television ad shows like 5-10 seconds of every different track, and because it was a kind of greatest hits, something like this, I was following the tracks, and every time that a new track started playing, I was immediately singing on the same key. That was the moment that my mom said, oh, he can definitely sing, because I was following the keys.
That was the moment.
And yeah, it was something like, wow, right? And I remember about 5 years old, I started singing in a choir in school. My mom, she came to me and said, look, we're gonna have this conversation because I see you like music, but I wanna know what you wanna do with your life. This industry is very complicated, it's very difficult. But I had this conversation with mom in a very young age. I remember this conversation. And she said, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to be a singer? That's what you want to do? Because also all my family, it's a family with musicians. They played pianos, I have maestros, I have all kind of musicians in the family. And I am the only one that, I mean, I play, but I don't play properly. I don't know how to read music, right? Mom put me in the school, the piano school, and I had no discipline to follow the steps, which I regret nowadays, because I still know how to play, but I don't know what I'm doing. I can hear it, I know the keys, but I cannot write it properly.
Right.
I'll go to the practical side, right? And then she said, okay, do you want to be a singer? Okay, we're gonna work for it. Since the first moment, she never was like, oh no, you don't do it. Supportive all the time, for sure. I had to go to school, and I started in a choir in school also, because we had a choir in the school. My first performance live was for the whole school, and I was about 6-7 years old, and I loved it. And at that moment I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
Right.
But a little bit later I started to realize that I was listening to sounds in my head and voices, and it's not like being hunted. So I had these voices in my head, these sounds, these melodies, and I could realize that this is pretty much what we do to make music. So we start singing along the melodies, la, da, 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 something that comes to your head. You use that, you put some lyrics at the top of it, and then you can make an arrangement. You can work with different people to play for you. You can play by yourself. And that was the moment that I realized that I was a songwriter also, being creative, like just writing down music.
That's incredible, because you had to go through a transition to really figure it out. And obviously it's amazing when you have like people backing you up from a young age, because I know most creatives don't really have that aspect, because either their parents don't agree with what they're doing. They're always alone. But I guess with you had that push. But even though you had the push from your mom, you knew that you wanted to sing, and eventually you found a way to start writing songs as well, and then it became your own journey, right? And
100%.
Same goes with me. Like, for me, I didn't have anybody backing me up, but eventually I found my niche, which was in dancing, and then from that I went into finally arranging teams and crews to perform on different stages. So obviously you started writing songs, you started using music. Do you remember the time that you actually produced your first album for yourself?
Well, I'm gonna say like this. I still don't have a first album. I have some singles, some EPs. I worked with some music back in Brazil also. I worked a little bit in Germany, in Brazil, in America. I have also a single in Israel in Hebrew because I am Jewish.
Right.
So yeah, we have some stuff around the globe. So, but I remember very much the first tracks I started working on, and I think that writing and producing is a process that the more you do, better you become, for sure. So you need to practice, and it's a constant school. It's a constant learning. Every day, a different sound came to my head. Sometimes it could be a bass, could be a cello, could be a piano, but could be a synthesizer with a different sound. And what is funny for me, what is nice to do, when I have this sound in my head, I need to go to a computer or to a different musician and say, I'm listening to this sound and I need to bring this to life. Right. So when I'm working by myself, I sit on the computer, I spend time finding the sound that is pretty much what I'm looking for inside a bank of 1,000 pianos, different pianos, imagine that. And then I start polish to sound exactly what I'm thinking, what I'm hearing. So I started this again in a very young age. I think I started writing properly when I was around 13, 14 years old. And the technology was different at the time, for sure. But I had the first tools to make it work. And yeah, I was also working in the studio. So I had a chance to go to a studio and have all that huge wall of hacks with different sounds, different instruments. I was spending hours and hours. For me, the best time of the day was like leaving the school. I used to love school. Don't get me wrong. I used to love going to school, my friends and everything. But the best time of the day was 6 p.m. I was leaving the school. My dad just picked me up from the school and go to the studio. And then I spent till 4 or 5 in the morning in the studio learning and doing my stuff. That's how I started pretty much. The first recording sessions, they weren't that good. I need to be honest. But yeah, I think it's a part of the growing up process. Yeah.
And I totally agree with you because, like when you start something, you don't know what you're doing or you're always trying to experiment, right? And I think this is the fear that most artists have, especially the upcoming artists, thinking, you know what, I'm a really good singer or I'm a really good dancer. I want to start. I had that fear. I had the fear of doing this. This is the first time me doing this. So I had that, but I had to tell myself, you know what, you got to put that fear behind and actually just start because you're going to learn. Like I'm learning from you, learning from me.
Yeah,
I want to talk to you a bit more about leading into that with the discipline. What's your discipline behind creating music? Or like you said, you hear a sound, you want to go into the studio and create that. As a musician, you spend hours and hours in the studio. So that's dedication, that's time and dedication, right? And also discipline. So how do you find the motivation and the discipline to really put in the work to create something special?
Well, there is a cost for this. I'm not gonna lie, there is a cost, but worth it every time you do. Sometimes you need to sacrifice relationships, and sometimes you need to sacrifice time with friends and things like that. Because yes, there are some relationships when the girl comes to you and say, "Oh, but now we need to choose in between me and music," and that's not a good option at all for musicians. Never a good option. Right. But yeah, I think that people that they have different careers, they don't understand very much how music could be a very deep passion for the musician. For me to go to the studio and stay there for 12 hours is not tiring. It doesn't make me feel tired, but all the way around, I get more energetic. I feel that things are happening in a good way. So the discipline is something that I don't tell, well, today I'm going to work 5 hours, period. No, I never say that. I always say, oh, I have an idea, I need to work on this idea. And I start working on it, and I don't look at the watch because I can spend 40 minutes and have what I need for the track.
Right.
Or I can work 12 hours and I say, damn it, that's not what I want. Then I come back home and I say, my God, I've been working for 12 hours and I don't have anything. So next day we start again until you find whatever you need. So the discipline is more about, again, I think it's about love. And for sure that makes you a very disciplined person, which I'm not when I go to a music school, I had no discipline to learn how to play the piano.
You're more learning on your own, with yourself, experimenting, finding your own music, finding your own keys, right? Is that
I think it's very organic. I feel it very organic. Any sound that I produce comes from somewhere in the universe, and you know.
When you talk about relationships, I know, like, when you're a dedicated person to your craft, you spend a lot of hours on your craft, which you should do. And I think with the relationships that you have outside of the studio with you, especially girlfriend, boyfriend, friends, you know, that circle, I guess they need to understand the process of a musician. They need to understand the lifestyle of a musician, and they gotta be okay with that.
Sure.
Right? So for me, it's always about 50-50. You understanding their life and understanding your life. And I guess if you can work that out, I guess you could still have a healthy relationship and be a musician. You could.
Well, I've been trying to be dedicated. When I'm in a relationship, I try to dedicate some time, but I also try to explain how is the head of a musician, because yes, we can call today, have a conversation, oh, let's do something, yes. And if a new idea comes to my head, probably I go to the studio and I go to the date anymore, you know. So that's how I act and react with music. Absolutely. So sometimes it's not too simple, but at the end of the day,
I understand.
If you find somebody that loves you very much, the person will understand. Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. So talk to me about if somebody wants to, so say somebody has an idea, you know what, I have a great voice, I got great talent in making music, producing, or whatever the case is. Like, what advice would you give them starting up? Because I know there are a lot of people who's scared to start something, or they're afraid of what the people might think, or they might not like my voice, they might not like my beats, you know, and they're scared to put their stuff out and start. So what advice would you give somebody starting up?
The first thing is believe in yourself. I know that can be very, oh, here we go with this beautiful story, but that's true. You need to believe in yourself, you know? Music lasts forever. Can you read here on my computer now?
I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yes, believe in yourself. If somebody try to discourage you, don't listen to them. If somebody says to you, oh, but nah, this is not gonna happen, don't believe them. Don't believe them, because that's the first step. You need to cross all these doors and then do what you love. If you feel the music is what you love, is what you want to do, if you feel that singing is the most important thing in your life, is like your air, you breathe music. So don't listen to other people. Do whatever you think it's right for you, when you feel it's right, when you're feeling well and you're feeling good, and that, keep doing it. And for sure, studying is very important. I said I didn't have the discipline to study piano, but yet I've been practicing all my life. So it's a kind of studying, right? You need to learn every day. There are new software every day. There are new conditions to work in studios, home studios, real studios. So I do believe that a career is constant learning and constant practicing, and then you get closer to perfection. I like to believe that when I finish a song, I've been the closest I could to the perfection, but there's no perfection. You know?
I totally agree with that. There is no perfection. I mean, you can only better yourself, you know, from the day before, like constantly work on your craft and work on developing yourself and your craft to the next level.
Yes. Yeah,
like me, I made that mistake. I was always comparing different dances to different, you know, organizations, to levels and skills, and I got frustrated with my own self. It put me down. It really took me down, and then I felt like my level as a dancer went even below the level that I was. So soon as I said, you know what, I'm just going to focus on me, my craft, and my level of skills. I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. Forgetting everything else, that's when I started to progress. Then I started to open my mind. Then I was more fearless. So and that's the game, right? Just focus on you and you only, and just keep moving forward. In terms of your music, like, what are you working on right now, and how are you going about it in terms of, obviously, with the situation that's going on right now with COVID-19 and all of this stuff with restrictions? How is it? Has it impacted you? Has it affected you? Has it inspired you? How can you tell us a bit more about that?
The first thing is, I had planned for the 2020 go on tour, right? That will be my first movement for 2020. I started rehearsals with the band and the musicians, but all of that crazy stuff happened, and now we need to go and wait a little bit longer. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but it's going to take a little bit more time. I've been constantly to my home studio. We have 2 studios in the house, so I've been working in music every day. Sometimes more motivated than other days. Sometimes we don't have any motivation, so we spend time watching television, eating. It's funny because with this new reality, we just learned that motivation sometimes comes from the streets, and inspiration comes again from the street. You're in the street, you listen to something, you meet people. For me, it's very dynamic. It's all the time. I have melodies in my head all the time, and sometimes a single conversation brings me the whole track. Sometimes just a sound of a drop of water gives me an idea, you know. So it changed a little bit, but now I'm working on a new EP. That's the greatest thing, and it's keeping me very energetic for it.
Right.
Because yes, officially, this will be my 5th EP, single, whatever we call this nowadays. And the funniest thing is 5 songs, my 5th EP. We made an announcement on 5th of May, so 5-5. And a friend of mine that liked numbers, she said, look, 5, because it's 5th of May, 2020. So 5-5-10, 2020. 40 plus 10, 50, 505 again. So the number 5 is everywhere. So I don't know if it's a universal sign. I don't know what it is. But yeah, we're working on a number 5 now.
That's amazing. You know, and also like, I know I'm privileged enough to obviously, I know you always give me a little sample of what you're working on all the time.
I need to know what is groovy enough for the guys to dance.
You know what? I love it. And I love when you do that every single time. I love when you send me a WhatsApp message with a 30-second clip of your songs that you're actually making, because it inspires me, to be honest, man. I haven't even said this to you off camera, but I'm saying this to you right now. It inspires me to level up my game in what I'm doing.
Okay.
And you know, it's a super privilege, and I know that, you know, these are great musicians, these are great artists because they put their heart and soul into what they do. I was wondering if you could play us a little sample of what's coming out, maybe give us a little 30-second glimpse of what you're working on right now.
I definitely can show you very exclusive thing. I haven't shown this to anyone yet. I can give you the first 15 seconds of the first track of the new EP.
That'll be amazing.
So this new EP is also a challenge because I decided to have 5 tracks and to make a non-stop EP. So I'm working in 5 different songs in the same key. So it's also challenging because if you sing 5 songs in the same key, you don't want to get bored and you don't want to make people bored. So it's challenging.
Yeah.
I can show you a little bit. Let's have a look what I have here.
Go for it.
So this first song, I don't have all the vocals done yet.
Okay.
This is a test that I did here on the computer. Is mainly the instrumental version and some synthesizers, vocal synthesizers.
Right.
Just because I try to learn how the bass works, how the kick works, how is the sound before I go further. Because at the end, everything should be like very harmonized. So this is the first test, okay? Very exclusive. Let's see. It's something like this. So I have a vocal, synthesizer saying. Then I have the bass, some synthesizers, and now we have the beat. This is track number 1. If we move a little bit forward, I'm gonna show the chorus.
Love it, man. That's like, I don't know, man. When the bass hit, like that's it. That gets me all the time, and that's when, like, for me, I can already create some dance moves in my head to those songs. It's incredible. Now, you know, put everything together, like you said, the inspiration that you find behind these beats, the vocals, the harmonies, you know, you put them all together, and that's that's a real life emotion.
True, true.
That's real
Yeah,
life.
on this track specifically, the first idea was exactly the synthesizer, the vocal doing and I want to keep it this in the whole track.
Yeah.
So yeah, I create everything around this vocal. So the bass, the sound that the bass sounds, the way it sounds, all the drums and everything. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, good luck to the rest of the project, man. Let me know when
Thank
it's
you.
out. You know, I'm gonna share it out and get everybody
100%.
listening to it. And man, I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to your live shows, man. When everything is ready to go back to normal, I'm looking forward to those live shows.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
Seriously. Before we wrap up, I want to talk to you about collaboration. I know you've been collaborating with a lot of people, a lot of musicians.
Love collabs, love it.
And I want to get into that real quick because for me, my whole movement, the business, what I do is based on collaborations. I believe in collaboration because there's so much power and so much inspiration behind it, right? Is Sony your record label, right? And
yeah. Sony TV.
Sony TV, and even having that, and then going from that into collaborating with different artists. What do you feel? What's it like? What's it like for you?
I love collaborations, and probably in the future I'm gonna have an album called Duets because I love having duets and another musicians playing with me together. I am part of the latest Enigma's album. Also, there was a great collaboration with Michael Prato, which I'm a huge fan, and it was an amazing experience also working with him. Lately, I had a single with Johnny Ellis, super talented artist. We had fun working on a song that he produced originally for his album, and then I came back to the studio saying, look, I have some vocals here and we work together and the song is great. It's to Make You Feel. Yeah. Yes, I had Point Black also rapping here and there. I have Jacob coming with also a nice rap in one of the songs. Point Black is already on What About Me, but he's coming back to the new EP also.
Hip-hop scene. He's really big in the hip-hop scene.
Yeah. Amazing artist. Even on the live settings, when I usually do live settings, and I can collab and have people working together, it's amazing. As I had you already dancing with me live, that is amazing. It's something that we do all the time. I love it. People got really, really, really high energy. So yeah.
I love this moment. And for me, like, you see what I mean? For me, in the terms of collaboration, collaborating with you was a different aspect because I've never done that before. Like, yes, of course, I've danced with artists on stage, but it felt like more of a same level connection on stage, of me and you on stage, but I'm a dancer, you're a singer. For me, that was really, really impressive and amazing to actually see the videos when we watch it later. And I know every time we have the chance to perform on the same stage, we make sure that we collaborate. And I think I want to emphasize that more to upcoming artists to always look to collaborate. Yes, you can work alone. It's better together, right? It's better together.
Brings more color. Yeah, 100%.
Brings more culture into it. Before we wrap up, my final question to you is, what impact would you like to have with your music in this world?
Woo, good question. Oh boy. Well, I believe that music is an instrument of nature that helps to heal, gives you good energy. Even sad songs, if you have a sad song, maybe you can help somebody go, if a person is struggling with something, and use that song to go deep, learn more about themselves, and then keep shining, I hope my music can help people to get happier and heal people when they need to, and bring good energy always, and bring people together. When COVID is over, bring people together live again. It would be amazing.
100%, man. 100. I love that. And it's so simple, right? It's so simple, but so effective. I mean, for you to write a song and making sure that might help somebody out, someone's going through something, it could be a depression, breakup. I know you make songs in all areas of life, and that could relate to somebody. And music changes people. Music is energy, right? Martchelo, I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you for having me here.
problem, my
It was
man.
amazing.
What's Your Art? It's a documentary series platform. Again, bringing all artists, giving them the chance to speak and express and, you know, share their knowledge. And yeah, bro, thank you so much. Peace and love.
See you soon.
Peace. Bye. 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 Bye.